I was engaged for 9 months until she asked me to stop acting engaged in public. So I took off the ring. Hi, I'm Ethan, 31, and 6 weeks ago my entire future quietly cracked in half over a plate of half-eaten pasta. My fiancée said it like she was commenting on the weather. I don't think we should act engaged in public anymore. No warning. No build-up. No fight. Just that. I remember the faucet still running, the plate frozen in my hands, water spilling over my knuckles. I didn't look at her right away. I just stared at the white ceramic like it might explain what she'd just said. Okay, I answered. That was it. No why. No are you serious. No argument. Just one word. She finally looked up then, surprised. Almost disappointed. Like she'd been bracing for impact and instead hit air. You're not upset? She asked. What would being upset fix right now? I turned off the water and dried my hands slowly. You don't want to act engaged in public. I heard you. She nodded, visibly relieved, and went back to folding the dish towel. Over and over. Like if she kept her hands busy, she wouldn't have to meet my eyes. On paper, we were perfect. Together almost 4 years. Engaged for 9 months. Wedding planned for late summer. Our friends called us boringly solid. Her family adored me. My parents already called her their future daughter. And yet here we were, standing in her kitchen, pretending this was normal. That night, lying beside her in bed, I didn't sleep at all. Her words kept replaying, louder each time. People who want to be engaged don't hide it. People who are excited about marriage don't ask to downgrade it. So I started paying attention. The phone angled away when she texted. The sudden happy hours with coworkers. The way wedding talk made her tense unless I forced the topic. 2 days later, she casually reminded me about dinner at her parents' house that weekend. And let's just not talk about wedding stuff, she added. I told them we're still figuring things out. I nodded again. By Friday afternoon, I made a decision that would change everything. And it started with a ring. Friday afternoon, instead of going home, I walked into a small jeweler downtown. The kind of place that smells like metal polish and quiet money. I need a ring resized, I said. The woman behind the counter smiled. Yours or hers? Mine. That gave her a pause. Not judgment, just surprise. I bought myself a band when we got engaged. Simple, brushed silver. No stones. I liked the symmetry of it. Commitment shouldn't be one-sided. How soon? She asked. Today, if possible. She nodded. A few hours. Before I left, I added one more thing. I want something engraved on the inside. She handed me a form. What would you like it to say? 3 words. She said no. I picked it up just before closing. I didn't put it back on. Saturday came fast. Too fast. She was chatty in the car, laughing about office drama, pointing out a dog in someone's front yard like everything was fine. Like nothing had shifted. If she noticed my bare hand, she didn't say a word. Her parents' house was warm and familiar. Her mom hugged us both. Her dad offered me a beer. Her sister showed up with her husband and kids. Normal. Comfortably normal. That almost made it worse. Dinner was served family-style like always. Roast chicken, potatoes, salad. Everyone talking over each other. Then her mom stopped mid-sentence. She was staring at my left hand as I reached for the salad bowl. Ethan, where's your ring? The room went silent so fast it felt staged. I swallowed. I had it resized, I said evenly. But I decided not to wear it anymore. My fiancée froze. What? Why would you not wear it? She asked, voice sharp with panic. I looked at her mother instead. Calm. Clear. Because she asked me not to act engaged in public anymore. And I figured wearing an engagement ring probably counts. Her face drained of color. What do you mean she asked you that? Her mom said slowly. Tuesday night, I answered. She said it was too much pressure. My fiancé stood up abruptly. Can we talk about this privately? No, I said, standing too. You made the request privately. These are just the consequences publicly. Her father set his fork down. Is this true? He asked her. She didn't answer. And that silence told everyone everything. Her sister broke the silence first. So, you told him to stop acting engaged? She asked, disbelief sharp in her voice. Instead of telling people to stop asking about the wedding? My fiancée's eyes filled, but she still didn't answer. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. People who want to get married don't hide it, I said. And people who are sure don't tell their parents they're figuring things out 9 months into an engagement. That's not what I meant, she snapped finally. I just needed space to breathe. From what? Her sister asked. No answer. Her dad leaned back in his chair. Emma, he said, firm but calm. What's really going on? She shook her head, tears falling now. You're all making this worse. I exhaled slowly. No, I think we're just finally saying it out loud. I grabbed my jacket. Thank you for dinner. I should go. Her mom stood too. Ethan, wait. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I said gently. If she wants to marry me, she knows where to find me. But I'm done pretending everything's fine. I left. I didn't storm out. I didn't slam the door. I just walked to my car and drove back to my old apartment, the one I'd kept month to month, just in case. I slept better there than I had in weeks. That night, my phone exploded. 18 missed calls, 32 texts, anger, confusion, apologies, accusations. Around midnight, she buzzed my apartment repeatedly. Please let me up, she said through the intercom. We need to talk. Not tonight, I answered. You're misunderstanding everything. Then explain it to yourself first, I said. Call me when you know what you actually want. I hung up. She buzzed again, and again. Eventually, she left. Sunday morning, her mother called me. I'm sorry about last night, she said. But, thank you for telling the truth. I appreciated that more than she probably realized. Then she asked the question I'd been avoiding. Do you still want to marry her? I didn't answer right away. I want to marry the person I thought she was, I said finally. But I don't know if that person ever really existed. She sighed softly. That's an honest answer. It was the only one I had. Monday afternoon, right as I was reheating leftovers I barely planned to eat, my phone buzzed. It was her sister. You deserve to know the real reason. That sentence hit harder than anything else had so far. I called her immediately. There's a guy at her work, she said without easing into it. She's been talking to me about him for weeks. My stomach dropped. He flirts with her. Lunches. Texts after work. Nothing physical, at least not that she admitted, but enough that she started wondering what if. I leaned against the counter, suddenly very tired. So why ask me to stop acting engaged? Silence. Then, because he asked if she was single. That did it. She didn't want to say yes, her sister continued, but she also didn't want to shut him down. So she tried to create this gray area where she could enjoy the attention without technically cheating. I laughed once. Short. Humorless. So I was the safety net. Yeah, her sister said. And I told her that was selfish and immature. That you deserved better. That evening, Emma showed up at my apartment again. This time, I let her in. She looked wrecked. Red eyes. Messy hair. Wearing one of my hoodies like it might protect her. I need to explain, she said. I already know, I replied. Your sister told me. She collapsed onto the couch. I didn't do anything physical, she cried. I swear. You did something worse, I said. You kept the door open. I told her exactly how it looked. How it felt. How asking me to hide our engagement wasn't about pressure, it was about options. She didn't argue. Because she couldn't. I was scared, she whispered. And the attention felt good. That's not love, I said. That's insecurity with a backup plan. She sobbed. I stood up. You should go. Are we over? She asked. I don't know, I answered honestly. But I can't marry someone who isn't sure they want me. The next 2 weeks were brutal in a quiet, exhausting way. No screaming. No dramatic confrontations. Just messages that kept coming like waves I refused to step into. I made a mistake. Please talk to me. I'll do anything to fix this. I didn't block her. I just slowed everything down. Short replies. Neutral tone. I'm okay. I need time. I can't talk right now. Time felt safer than answers. Midway through the second week, her mom called again. Her voice was careful, like she didn't want to tip anything over. Would you come to dinner this Saturday? She asked. Just us. No pressure. I almost said no. But something told me this wasn't about convincing me. It was about closure. When I arrived, her dad looked older than I remembered. Tired. Like he hadn't been sleeping much either. They didn't defend her. They didn't excuse her. They just listened. She ended things with that coworker, her mom said quietly. Told him she was engaged. Started therapy. She's trying to understand why she did this. That's good, I said honestly. For her. Her dad nodded. But we also understand if it's too late. Then came the question. Do you think you could ever trust her again? I stared into my coffee for a long moment. I don't know, I said. Trust isn't something you promise. It's something that grows. And right now, I don't know if I have the energy to wait and see. Her mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That's fair, she said. More than fair. When I left, She hugged me at the door. "You're a good man," she said. "Don't forget that." I didn't. 6 weeks after the dinner where everything cracked open, I finally said it out loud. "We're done." No shouting. No drama. Just a quiet conversation in my apartment, the windows open, late afternoon lights stretching across the floor like it was trying to be kind. She didn't argue. She handed me the ring without hesitation. I hadn't asked for it back because I wanted to sell it or punish her. I needed the symbol returned before I could actually move on. She understood that. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not that I got caught sorry. The real one." And for the first time, I believed her. That didn't change the outcome. We hugged, longer than I expected. Then she left, and that chapter of my life closed with a quiet click instead of a slam. The ring went into my dresser drawer. I never put mine back on either. The engraving inside, she said no, felt heavier than the metal. She sent me an email a week later, not asking for me back, not trying to explain, just accountability, full ownership, no excuses. I haven't replied yet. Some apologies are for the person giving them, not the one receiving them. I moved my things out of her apartment. Officially single at 31 for the first time in years. Strange, but not empty. Her family still checks in. Her sister texts occasionally. Her mom mailed me cookies with a handwritten note that said, "Thinking of you." It's weird staying connected to your ex's family. But they were never the problem. Life didn't dramatically improve overnight. Some mornings I woke up reaching for a phone that wasn't there anymore. Some nights I caught myself thinking, I should tell her this, before remembering I couldn't. Or shouldn't. Grief isn't loud all the time. Most days it's just inconvenient. I threw myself into work. Started going to the gym again. Cooked real meals instead of surviving on coffee and whatever was closest. Small things. Rebuilding things. The ring stayed in the drawer. People kept asking if I was okay, and I learned how to answer honestly without bleeding everywhere. I'm better than I was. I'm getting there. I'm learning. Those answers were all true. One evening, I pulled the ring out and turned it over in my palm. The engraving caught the light. She said no. It wasn't technically accurate. I was the one who ended it, but the truth underneath still held. She said no to commitment. No to choosing me when it mattered. No to shutting the door when another option knocked. And I realized something important. If I'd fought harder that night in the kitchen, if I'd begged or argued or ignored the red flags, I might still be engaged to someone who wasn't fully there. That thought scared me more than being alone. I didn't lose a fiancé. I avoided a divorce. A month passed. Then another. Life didn't reset, but it stabilized, like a bone that had finally stopped aching when the weather changed. I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning. Stopped rereading old messages, searching for hidden meanings that weren't there. Stopped imagining alternate versions of the past where I said something different and everything magically worked out. One night, while cleaning the apartment, I found a box labeled wedding stuff shoved into the back of a closet. Guest list drafts, a venue brochure, fabric swatches she'd loved and I'd pretended to have opinions about. I sat on the floor and went through it piece by piece. Not crying, just acknowledging. That future existed once. And then it didn't. And that was okay. I threw most of it away. Kept only one thing. A folded piece of paper where we'd written vows ideas months earlier. Not because I wanted her back, but because it reminded me of who I was when I believed in forever. Someone capable of commitment, of choosing, of showing up fully. That part of me didn't disappear just because she couldn't match it. Later that night, her name popped up on my phone. A single message. "I hope you're doing okay. You don't have to reply. I just wanted you to know I'm still working on myself." I stared at it for a long time. Then I locked my phone and went to bed. Not because I was angry, because I was finally at peace with not needing to answer. Something unexpected happened around that time. I started laughing again. Not the polite kind you give coworkers. Real, unguarded laughter. The kind that catches you off guard and makes you pause afterward like, oh, I missed that. It happened one night at a friend's place. Low-key dinner, nothing fancy. Someone told a stupid story about locking themselves out of their apartment in pajama pants, and I laughed so hard I had to sit down. And in that moment, I realized something quietly important. I wasn't broken. I'd been hurt, disappointed, shaken, but not broken. People kept asking if I was dating again. I wasn't. I didn't want to. Not yet. For the first time in years, my life didn't feel like it was waiting for the next milestone. No engagement. No countdown. No pressure to perform happiness. Just space. I started noticing how often I'd compromised before. Not in big ways, but in small, constant ones. Swallowing concerns. Downplaying discomfort. Convincing myself that silence was maturity. Turns out, silence is only healthy when it isn't fear in disguise. One night, I opened the dresser drawer again, took out the ring, slid it onto my finger just to see how it felt. It didn't feel right. Not painful, just wrong, like wearing someone else's watch. I took it off and placed it back in the drawer, this time without hesitation. That wasn't grief anymore. That was clarity. A few days later, I ran into someone from the past. Not her. Worse and better. My ex before Emma. Maya. We hadn't seen each other in almost 7 years. Ran into each other at a coffee shop near my office, both reaching for the same sugar packet like a bad rom-com cliché. She laughed first. Wow. Timing. We sat, talked, caught up in that careful way people do when they're not sure how much honesty is allowed. She was married now, happy, pregnant, and strangely, I didn't feel jealous. What I felt was relief. Back then, I'd believed losing Maya was the worst thing that could happen to me. I'd been wrong. Losing her had been a redirection, not a disaster. That realization settled something deep in my chest. Heartbreak doesn't mean you chose wrong. It means you chose honestly with the information you had at the time. Later that night, I wrote a list. Not of what I wanted in a partner, but of what I would no longer accept. Someone unsure. Someone who hides. Someone who needs external validation more than integrity. The list wasn't angry. It was calm. That's how I knew I was healing. I didn't expect the dreams. Not about her specifically. Those stopped. But about moments. Kitchens. Long drives. Shared grocery lists. The ordinary stuff that sneaks up on you when your guard is down. In one dream, I was standing in a hardware store arguing about paint colors with someone whose face I couldn't see. I woke up strangely comforted. It hit me then. I wasn't mourning her anymore. I was mourning the rhythm of partnership. And that mattered, because it meant I wasn't stuck. I was transitioning. I started saying yes to things I used to brush off. A weekend trip with friends. A climbing gym I'd always been too busy for. Cooking classes on Wednesday nights where nobody knew my story and didn't need to. One night after class, a woman laughed at one of my jokes and said, "You're surprisingly thoughtful." Surprisingly. I smiled and realized how long it had been since someone noticed that without expectation attached. Nothing happened. No numbers exchanged. No spark I chased. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to. Healing, I learned, isn't about replacing someone. It's about remembering yourself without them. 3 months after everything ended, I finally replied to her email. Not because I felt obligated. Because I felt steady. I kept it short. I appreciate the apology. I'm glad you're working on yourself. I wish you well. No questions. No reopening doors. No emotional hooks. When I hit send, my chest didn't tighten. That's how I knew it was the right time. Later that evening, I took the ring out of the drawer one last time. Not to dwell, just to acknowledge it. I'd been avoiding making a decision about it, telling myself I'd figure it out later. Later had arrived. I didn't throw it away. I didn't sell it either. I put it in a small box and tucked it onto a high shelf. Not hidden, just stored. A closed chapter, properly filed. Some things don't need to be erased to stop having power over you. That night, I slept deeply. No dreams. No replaying conversations. Just rest. In the morning, I woke up with a strange thought. I'm ready to want again. Not need. Not chase. Want. And that made all the difference. I didn't start dating right away. I started noticing. Couples arguing quietly in grocery store aisles. Hands intertwined at crosswalks. The way some people lean in when they listen, while others look for exits. I paid attention to patterns I used to ignore. At a friend's birthday, someone asked if I was seeing anyone. No, I said. Then, after a pause, not yet. It didn't feel like a placeholder answer anymore. A week later, I downloaded a dating app. Not out of loneliness, out of curiosity. I didn't rush to fill out the profile. Took my time choosing photos that actually felt like me, not the version of me I thought someone else would approve of. Bio was simple. Values clarity. Communicates directly. Likes building things that last. That felt right. I went on 2 dates. The first was fine. Polite. Empty. The second made me laugh in that surprised way again. She asked good questions. Didn't flinch when I answered honestly. Didn't overshare to fill silence. At the end, she smiled and said, "I like how present you are." I walked home thinking about that. Presence. That was what I'd been missing before, both from her and from myself. I didn't rush the next step. That was new for me. Before, I used momentum as proof. If things were moving forward, they must be right. Now I let moments exist without forcing them into meaning. We kept seeing each other, slow dinners, long walks, conversations that didn't feel like interviews. She didn't pry about my past, but when I chose to share pieces of it, she listened without trying to fix or minimize it. One night, we were sitting on a bench overlooking the river, lights from the bridge stretching across the water. She glanced at my left hand. Casual, not searching. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure. Why don't you wear a ring?" I smiled, not defensively, not nervously. "I did once," I said, "but I learned that symbols only matter when the intention behind them is solid." She nodded. "That makes sense." No follow-up, no awkward pause. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't bracing anymore. I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't trying to prove I was worthy of choosing. I was just choosing back. When I got home that night, I opened the dresser drawer out of habit. The ring wasn't there anymore. And for the first time, I didn't feel its absence at all. It's been almost a year now. Not since the breakup. Since the moment I stopped pretending I didn't see the truth. That distinction matters. The night the ring disappeared from the drawer wasn't dramatic. I didn't throw it away or make some symbolic gesture. I'd simply reached a point where it no longer represented loss. It represented a lesson. I'm not angry at her anymore. I'm not even disappointed. Those emotions burn hot, then fade. What's left is clarity, and clarity is quiet. I understand now that the engagement didn't end because of one coworker, or flirting, or cold feet. It ended because commitment requires courage, and we didn't have the same definition of it. I wanted chosen. She wanted options. Neither makes someone evil, but only one makes a marriage work. The woman I'm seeing now, slowly, intentionally, isn't perfect. Neither am I. But there's something solid between us. Honesty without performance, affection without fear, presence without conditions. One evening, while cooking dinner together, she reached for my hand absent-mindedly. No announcement, no expectation, just contact. And I realized something simple and profound. This is what acting engaged was supposed to feel like all along. Not pressure, not hiding, not managing perceptions. Just two people standing in the open, unafraid to be seen choosing each other. Sometimes people don't say no with words. They say it with hesitation, with half-commitments, with requests to shrink what should be proudly visible. Back then, the table went silent because a ring was missing. But what everyone finally saw wasn't jewelry. It was the truth. And the truth, once seen, can't be put back in the drawer. That's how I knew I'd be okay. Not because I found someone new, but because I finally refused to disappear for someone who couldn't fully show up. And that decision changed everything.